Alrighty then. Just like I promised, though, for Star Warden, here's a fairly quick rundown, like audible version of what I've been doing with the blog for this little kind of. I would say it's more like initial impressions, like what I genuinely like, that sort of thing. Because I by no means am I a professional reviewer or anything else like that. Um, Very simply, I do like the mix of fantasy concept with meeting science fiction concepts. That's what's fun about space fantasy and things like that, is you can have kind of like that more traditional outlook of fantasy married with the cosmic elements of science fiction. Which, Scrap Princess has that. David West basically assisted with the other Valco. I'm trying to remember how to say it. Here, let me look it up real quick because I was like, I'm bad at pronouncing things. Ah, here we go. Yep. Valkyria Awakenings. He participated in an anthology that kind of set in a similar thing. Um, Basically, the first actual book in that series is the Heroes of the Crystal Star. Well, they take also similar elements that Star Warden has, where it looks like a fantasy setup, but there's sci-fi science fiction underpinnings. Well, with Star Warden, that's even more blatantly obvious because you'll have like ancient castles, and then you'll have robots and everything else, like nano swords. It's like yay! I like me some technologically advanced swords, even if it's just something like where you're just like swing swing and kaboom goes the enemy. It's like that's fine. This is fine. But yeah, like I said, with the written part of this is he takes a lot of cues from Record of Lodoss War, which is fine. Like Record of Lodoss War is good stuff. I even gifted the digital copy to him because I bought the physical, which is like the complete series. Both the longer format and the initial one I saw. I mean, there's some differences between both of them, but there's that. But yeah, Star Warden has key elements that one can basically enjoy. Has good dynamics between its main couple. You can get a sense of the villain pretty quick. He does pay a little bit more attention with his villains right now, which that works. I mean, if you're interested in writing a villain standpoint, that's fine too. It's just that the biggest thing for me as a reader is like show a very clear contrast with the heroes versus the villains, so that way they're like foils to each other. Because I sorely miss just traditional heroics in most setups nowadays. And I'll even link the other series below because I also linked Star Warden. Hey, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. And even from a technical standpoint, as you go further along the book, you can see how he's improving. And the same thing can be said even for my setup. Like, the more you write, guys, again, that's the only concrete advice I can really give, is just keep writing. Everything else will fall into line. Just keep writing. Because if it isn't out there, you gotta make it. We all have to make stuff. If only to escape from the drudgery of nihilism. I do like the fact that how he's mixing his magic with tech. Like I said, with the written part, there's just enough tech and magic to where you can have one person have mastery over one or the other, or even possibly even with both, depending on their setup, which I always find pretty fun, because I see that in with a fair amount of superhero setups as well. Like, you can have the traditional heroes intermingling with the heroes that can wield magic. Oh, but yeah, it's obvious that we both like a lot of similar things, so our wheelhouses overlap pretty well. I would say there's like 70 to 90% overlap. But yeah, I do like how he just straight up, yeah, it's just very clear villain. There's no redeeming qualities about the guy. I don't think there's going to be like a redemption quest for him. He's just an evil overlord there to cause problems for everybody. And it's not so much of from the looks of it, it's not so much of a corrupt government as in it's an iron fist, but it's not obvious. He's not basically being like, oh, this is the villain is the prop or the soundboard for everything else. Like, no, it's just something for the characters to contrast with, like the basic decency versus sheer virility. That's what counts. That's what counts for me. It's like I need more of those setups. Darn it. I mean, I know back when I was a kid, things were usually written to be much more clear cut, and it really was only the advent of like the like probably mid to late 90s to where everything started getting out of hand in terms of, oh, anti-heroes are more nuanced. Da, 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 da. Sometimes I don't want air quote nuance. I just want straight up good versus evil. I know I've said this multiple times, but yeah, that's what I've been craving, and that's what's been missing in most media and entertainment. So if we can all go back to the basics and support people that are just doing that, that'd be great. That's why you'll find that most times I'll still concentrate on bringing other indies to the forefront, or people that are basically giving me what I want in terms of wheelhouse. And it could be even as little as maybe 60 to 70% of my wheelhouse. Because if there's a fair amount of people out there that are using tropes that I don't find interesting, but if you hit enough things I do find interesting, I'll keep going. Like if you offer me a little mystery every chapter, which, Star Warden does that. It basically peels back a little bit at a time, so there's not a lot of info dumps. You just get to see how things develop through this character. You get more of that space opera aspect from even when the main villain is looking down on the planet, and it's like, now this is some John Carter of Mars shit right here. It's like it's a gas giant, but it has its own floating islands and other things like that. Sometimes when it comes for fun, you don't have to be hard sci-fi Newtonian physics. Everything's got to make sense. Sometimes just go with it. Have fun. If it's something that makes sense within that universe or that setting, then go for it. Sometimes you just need to take a break and have fun with the fantastical. And if you just want that from your stories, then I'd say give Star Warden a look. I will probably put a little bit more with my writing side of the equation here in a bit, but I just wanted to give some verbal feedback as well. I figured might as well do the whole kit and caboodle, right? And like what I'm doing with Uplift Protocol, he's also showcasing the different strengths of men and women. Like, women don't have to be ball busters to try to upstage somebody, and you don't have to have men belittle, their more feminine companions just to show like they're or super machismo. It's like, no, a lot of books nowadays should try to showcase the different strengths of men and women. And even depending on the setting, you can negate some of the physical shortcomings through magic, superpowers, things like that, or even tech, miraculous tech. Unless you're going for a extremely realistic setting base, I really wouldn't honestly worry about that. I know there's some people where they want to have a more realistic character setup, but me, I'm tired of realism. I really am. I want to see more of the fantastical, and Star Warden has the fantastical. Have a good day, everybody.